Have you ever wondered how the world's largest democracy, India, came to have its own written constitution? Well, let's take a step back into history to understand the genesis of the Indian constitution. In the mid-20th century, as the clamor for India's independence from British rule reached its zenith, the need for a governing document that would outline the political code, structure, procedures, powers and duties of the government institutions was more evident than ever. It was in this backdrop that the Constituent Assembly was appointed in December 1946. Comprising of elected representatives from all over the country, the Constituent Assembly was tasked with drafting a constitution that would serve as the backbone of the newly independent nation. The drafting process was no small feat. It involved the collective wisdom and experience of a diverse group of people who deliberated for days on end, discussing, debating, and sometimes even arguing over the various provisions to be included. Imagine the enormity of the task to create a constitution that would not only serve the needs of a diverse country like India, but also stand the test of time. After almost 3 years of tireless work, the draft of the Constitution was finally completed on November 26, 1949. The Constituent Assembly took the pledge of dedication on this day, a day we now celebrate as Constitution Day. However, it was not until January 26, 1950, a date chosen to commemorate the Purna Swaraj Day, that the Constitution was officially adopted, replacing the Government of India Act 1935 as the governing document of India. And so, after years of painstaking effort, India was no longer a dominion under the British Crown, but a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. It was a momentous day, marking the birth of the world's largest democracy, guided by its own written constitution. Thus, after years of deliberation and drafting, India had a constitution that would guide its journey as an independent and democratic nation. It was a testament to the collective will of the people, a symbol of their aspirations and hopes, and a beacon guiding the nation towards a future filled with promise. So, what does the Indian Constitution encompass? Let's delve into the intricate structure of the Indian Constitution, considered one of the world's lengthiest written constitutions. It is an elaborate document, intricately laid out in a preface, known as the preamble, followed by parts, articles, and schedules. The preamble is like the opening act of this grand narrative. It sets the tone and context by outlining the Constitution's fundamental philosophy, guiding values, and objectives. It declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic, committed to securing justice, liberty, equality for its citizens, and promoting fraternity among them. The body of the Constitution is divided into 25 parts, each covering a specific field. This includes everything from the Union and its territory to the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. The latter are non-enforceable rights aimed at establishing a welfare state, while the former are enforceable rights that act as a bulwark against state power, securing individual liberties. These parts are further subdivided into 468 articles, which provide the detailed provisions of the Constitution. They detail the structure and power of various organs of the government, the relationship between the center and the states, and much more. And then we have the 12 schedules, which are essentially tables providing additional details to the articles. They cover a wide array of topics, from the allocation of seats in the parliament to the oath of office for various constitutional positions. In addition to this, the Constitution also outlines fundamental duties, a set of 10 civic responsibilities expected of every citizen. While they are non-enforceable, they serve as a constant reminder of the role we all play in upholding the values enshrined in the Constitution. As we can see, the Constitution of India is a comprehensive document that outlines the political code, structure, procedures, powers and duties of the government institutions, and sets out fundamental rights, directive principles, and duties of citizens. But what power does the Indian Constitution hold? This is a question that might have crossed your mind. The Indian Constitution, in essence, is the supreme law of the land. Imagine it as an instruction manual, a blueprint, if you will, for the entire nation. It outlines how the country should be governed, the rights and duties of its citizens, and the distribution of power among the various branches of government. Now, you might be wondering, what does it mean when we say the Constitution is the highest law? Well, it means that any law made in the country must be in accordance with the Constitution. If any law contradicts or violates the principles of the Constitution, it can be declared invalid by the courts. This supremacy of the Constitution ensures that all laws in the country are fair and just, upholding the rights and liberties of the citizens. But the power of the Constitution doesn't stop there. It also provides the blueprint for the Indian government and its functioning. The Constitution meticulously details the structure, powers, and functions of the government at both the central and state levels. It prescribes how the Parliament and the state legislatures should function, what powers the President of India has, and how the judiciary should operate. In essence, the Constitution is like the architect of the Indian political system. It shapes the government, ensuring that power is not concentrated in the hands of a few, but is instead distributed among various institutions. This system of checks and balances, laid down by the Constitution, ensures that each branch of the government operates within its limits, preventing any misuse of power. So when we talk about the power of the Indian Constitution, we're referring to its ability to guide the governance of the country, to ensure justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity among its citizens, and to maintain the democratic fabric of the nation. Therefore, the Constitution holds the highest power in India, providing a framework for political process and functioning. So, how does the Constitution function in India? The Indian Constitution, often referred to as the supreme law of the land, serves a multitude of functions. Its primary role is to govern the country, maintain law and order, and protect the rights and liberties of its citizens. It lays down the framework that demarcates the fundamental political principles, establishes the structure, procedures, powers, and duties of the governmental institutions, and sets out the fundamental rights, directive principles, and duties of citizens. To understand the functioning of the Constitution, it is essential to delve into the roles of the three arms of the government: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. These three branches work together in unison, guided by the Constitution, to ensure a smooth and efficient governance system. The legislature, comprising the Parliament at the central level and the state legislatures at the state level, is responsible for lawmaking. They frame and enact laws that govern the country, always ensuring that these laws adhere to the principles laid out in the Constitution. The executive, on the other hand, is responsible for implementing and enforcing these laws made by the legislature. The executive branch includes the President, the Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers at the central level, and the Governor and the Council of Ministers at the state level. They ensure that the laws are executed in the spirit of the Constitution. Lastly, the judiciary interprets the Constitution and the laws. It acts as the guardian of the Constitution, safeguarding it and ensuring that neither the legislature nor the executive overstep their boundaries as defined by the Constitution. It also protects the rights of the citizens, providing legal remedies in cases of violations. The interplay between these three branches, each performing its unique role, ensures a balanced and effective system of governance. The Constitution thus helps maintain a fine balance of power, ensuring that no single entity becomes too powerful. Hence, the Constitution functions as the backbone of India's democratic system, ensuring smooth governance and protection of citizens' rights. What has been the impact of the Indian Constitution on the country and its people? This may seem like a simple question, but the answers are as diverse and intricate as India itself. The Indian Constitution has not just been a framework for governance, but a roadmap in India's journey as a democratic republic. It has been a guide, a beacon, and a touchstone, shaping the nation's political, social, and economic landscape over the past 7 decades. One of the most significant ways the Constitution has influenced India is through its amendments. These are not merely changes to the text, but reflections of the evolving aspirations of the people. For instance, the 42nd Amendment in 1976, often referred to as the mini-constitution, expanded the directive principles of state policy, emphasizing the commitment to social justice and the welfare state. Landmark Supreme Court judgments too have left an indelible mark on the nation's fabric. The Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala case in 1973, for example, upheld the supremacy of the constitution, asserting that even the parliament could not alter its basic structure. This ruling has been instrumental in preserving the core values of the constitution: democracy, rule of law, and fundamental rights. The constitution's impact extends beyond law and governance. It has shaped the collective conscience of the nation, inspiring movements for social change and justice. The Right to Information Act, the abolition of triple talaq, or the recognition of the third gender, all are testaments to the transformative power of the Constitution. As we can see, the Indian Constitution has played a pivotal role in shaping India's democratic fabric and continues to guide the nation in its journey towards a more inclusive and just society. It is not just a document, but a living, breathing entity, evolving with the nation, reflecting its past, shaping its present, and guiding its future. It is the heart of India's democracy, beating with the aspirations and dreams of its people.